All right. Now, what I'm going to tell everyone happened in the end of the summer of 2003. Late August of 2003. I was with my son, who at the time was 5.5, and his mother, and we decided to take him to Storyland in New Hampshire. It's kind of like a small amusement park, but has, you know, a flume, has rides, roller coasters, based for more like children. Smaller, everything's smaller roller coasters, smaller flume. Anyway, it was his first time doing anything like that, roller coasters, and only being 5.5. We're like, oh, let's go up to New Hampshire for the weekend. We'll get a camping spot up near Storyland for a couple nights. So 3 days, 2 nights, and it'll be like the last hurrah of the summer. It's like, yeah, that sounds great. So we found a big campsite. I'm talking, can't remember the name, but it was right outside of Glen, New Hampshire. Now you're not talking Northern New Hampshire, you're talking past, you know, presidentials, up in that range. So you're far up, and you're in a higher elevation, so it's chilly at night and, you know, nice during the day. Well, the campsite that we got was right on the bend of this pretty decent size flowing stream, like a brook, and the water was moving. So it was cool to see, really fast flowing, almost like a little rapid, you know. And it was probably, I'm trying to remember, it's been so long, I'm talking 17 years, about 9-10 feet across, with just big boulder rocks. If any of you have been in New Hampshire, any of the mountains, it's rock, it's all rock. So beautiful spot right at the bend. First night went great. Spent the next day at Storyland. Got back to the camp after a full day, tired. Probably went to bed, I'm gonna say by 9:30. Pitch black. I was the last one to go to bed, and some reason I just can't sleep good in a tent. It takes forever for me to go to sleep. I just have issues. Chewie. So that night, middle of the night, I am just laying there, like, almost pissed off because I can't fall asleep. And laying there, eyes wide open. All of a sudden, frickin' hand just starts grazing right across the tent. Now, it scared the crap out of me. You don't expect that in the frickin' 2-3 o'clock in the morning. Granted, it's a campsite, there are other campers. You don't expect someone that late at night to be pulling a prank on your ass, putting the hand across. I'm thinking, I'm looking, I'm watching the impression go across, because it was dark, but how your eyes adapt to the dark after a while, you can kind of see. And seeing that impression go across very fluently, and I'm like, who the hell is this? I'm ready to get up and open up the tent, be like, what the hell are you doing? And right at the end, as soon as it made from one side of the tent to the other, it let out this guttural growl grunt that can't be replicated by man or anything I've ever heard. It was no moose, it was no bear, it was no deer. That's about all that's up in the whites up there. Black bear, moose, deer. To have the intelligence to do that was just mind-blowing. It scared me stiff. I couldn't friggin' move. But that grunt, that guttural grunt, frickin' went through my chest, and it wasn't loud. It's not like it shook. You could hear it for miles. It's like it man, it felt like it knew. I was up and watching. Like, it must have. My heart was pounding. My heart was pounding when that hand went across the skin, because it scares you shitless. You don't expect that in the middle of the night. But that grunt, I've never felt anything like it. Shook my insides to where I was scared stiff. I couldn't frickin' move. But before it let out that grunt, it was like a breath. It was like exhaling and let out the and man. So after that happened, let's just say I did not sleep. It was dead quiet. Couldn't move. I couldn't move, and I felt like as if I could have moved, and if I opened that tent, what would have happened? So part of me is glad I didn't open the tent, and part of me is like, that could have been my one chance to see something that not a lot of people see. So yes, definitely a strange encounter. Now, I buried that deep away. Like I said, the next morning I got up. I couldn't comprehend what it was at the time, because I haven't heard enough detail and stories of what these beings actually do. It's funny, so I never told anyone. I didn't even tell my kid. I didn't tell my son's mother. I just packed it away and buried it. What are you gonna say? I couldn't explain it. What am I gonna say? So let's fast forward all the way to the summer of 2018. I started getting into hiking, which I'm doing right now, all in New Hampshire. Hike a lot in the White Mountain National Forest, all the 4,000 footers. There's 48 of them. Got 9 left. Avid hiker now. Got my wingman with me, got my dog, and we love it. We come up here at least once a month, sometimes twice a month, depending on the weather. So 2018, I make my first trip, an overnight trip camping. It's called the Semi-Pemi Loop. It's probably about a 20-mile hike, a little less. And you stay overnight at this campsite. It's called 13 Falls tent site. You can look it up. It's out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it took me probably about 6 hours to get there from the parking lot. I mean, you're in the middle of nowhere. And they have caretakers there. You pay them a fee, $10 a night. Stay there for the night, and then the next day you keep on hiking. My way on the 13 Falls Trail, and I'm about 4 or 5 miles away. I'm in the middle of nowhere, and I'm walking. All of a sudden, about 9-10 feet up, this branch freaking shakes. I mean, I am just walking by it as it's friggin' shaking, and totally just looked corner of my eye, 160, 180, whatever. Turn right around, walk back about 30, 40 yards. Come here, Chewie. And going off trail. So I'm scared shit again. And it brought back everything from 2003. It brought back everything. That feeling of scared stiff. So I had my shitty GoPro 5 session recording, which anyone that uses a GoPro, you film something up that's about 30 yards away, it looks like a friggin' dot when you look at it afterwards. So I'm just waiting. I'm waiting, and I don't know how long, probably 1-2 minutes the most. I mean, time goes by so slow when you're waiting, and seeing that shake, and I'm just waiting. I'm dead set on that friggin' branch, and I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, I haven't felt this scared. It took me right back to 2003. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, here we friggin' go. I'm gonna friggin' see it. Now I'm praying to God that the dog doesn't growl, doesn't bark, doesn't make a noise. So I'm taping. I look down at him. He's scared shit. Now, this dog, any wildlife it sees, deer, anything, he bolts right at it. I mean, he friggin' bolts. He beelines it, chases that thing. I got some stories about him. So that happens. I'm waiting. All of a sudden, out on the trail comes this big frickin' moose. I'm like, I was like, holy shit. I'm like, at least it wasn't a Sasquatch. But I'm like, man, if I make any friggin' move, any movements, is this thing gonna charge me? Like, I'm thinking the worst. The worst. I look down at the dog. He's scared shit. I'm like, well, he ain't gonna do anything. That thing just goes through. I could have ducked, kind of hunched over and walked under its belly with it standing up. It was that big. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna get trampled and die. So it took about, I'm telling you, 3 to 4 minutes for that thing to kind of get off the trail a little. Funny thing is, I had to pull the damn dog. He wasn't moving. I had to pull him by. I'm trying to use the GoPro to get it, and I have it. It's on my YouTube channel. It looks like shit, but yeah, definitely. Moose scared me, but it brought me back to that night in the tent. And I'm like, there was no moose. I'm like, it wasn't an antler. It wasn't anything going across the tent. It was, I could see the impressions of the friggin' hand fairly high up. And it was a big 6-person tent. Chewie, come here. Come here. Come on. Oh, where are we? Big 6-person tent. Oh. And I was like, oh man. So since then I've been listening to since that hike, I've been just infatuated with getting information on everything. Chewie, get over here. Come here. Hey, come here. I've been infatuated with getting information on encounters and what happens. And in the winter of 2019, I've been listening to, like, you know, like I said, Sasquatch Chronicles, How to Hunt, Dixie Cryptid, just gathering as much information on these encounters as I could. And I came across one on Sasquatch Chronicles. I'm driving up to New Hampshire to do a winter hike last year, and it's called the Boneyard, and it took place in Alaska. And about these 3 people, a couple and one of the friends, just went out in the middle of nowhere and camped out, and they found all these bones and everything everywhere, and they set their camp up, and sure enough, they were hearing noises, footsteps, freaking hand goes across the guy's tent. As soon as I heard that, I'm on the highway. I'm going 70 on the highway. I almost had to jam on the brakes. I mean, the feeling, hearing that it happened to someone else just blew my mind. And since then, I was like, holy shit, it was a friggin' Sasquatch in New Hampshire. And since then, I have heard countless stories of the whole tent thing, juveniles going across the tent. But that grunt, man, holy Jesus, I'll never forget that grunt as long as I live. Now this is the first year. It's 2021. 2020, after that happened, after I heard that on the radio, on Sasquatch Chronicles, I'm at work and I couldn't stop listening, and I had to tell my buddy what happened, and it took me damn near 17 and a half years to frickin' open up and be like, yeah, I had an encounter, and I definitely know what it wasn't, but what it was, it was a goddamn Bigfoot. It was a goddamn Sasquatch. Now, does it scare me to go on these trails and whatnot? No. I thought the chance of that happen again are slim to none. I worry more about my dog being ahead of me. But yeah, that's it, man. That was a crazy encounter. I feel lucky that it happened to me. I feel kind of undecided about the whole thing. It was definitely, I wish I could have opened that tent and seen, but I'm even replaying it in my head every day. Even if that did happen, even if I didn't get frozen solid by that frickin' grunt, I don't know if I could have even opened that. I would have had to look for a flashlight. I would have had to zip that dome tent. I was afraid for my family. I was afraid for me. Just not knowing what the hell did it. I know for a friggin' fact it wasn't a human, and it wasn't any kind of animal that I know of. So, thank you, Sasquatch Chronicles, for helping me out with this, because I don't think I ever would have talked about it unless I was without listening to that. I would have never talked about it. Without hearing other encounters that are similar, I would have never talked about it. I would have just buried it away and be like, who knows what it was. I think now I know. So that's my friggin' story. It's the first time I have told it like that in such detail. So all right, I'm gonna continue on hiking. Happy trails, everyone. Be careful out there, goddammit. You don't know what the hell you're gonna find.